Today we're going to be learning how to draw a line that fits the data from a scatter plot so that we can predict values that do not appear in the original data. You have 3 success criteria today, so you'll know you have learned it when you can draw a line of fit. That's going to be your first one. Use that line of fit to predict values that do not appear, and then finally justify why your line of fit is reasonable. So make sure you're on page 531 and we will get started. So let's first talk about what an actual line of fit is. So if you look at the bottom of the page here, a line of fit is a line that goes through the center and is as close as you can get to most of the data points. You'll notice it doesn't always even run through the data points. It just closely models it. So you pretty much have roughly the same number of points above the line as you do below the line. So it models the relationship of these two variables here. So on the next page, let's look at some of these lines of fit. Okay, so this one is a really good fit because all the points lie very close to that line of fit. Okay, they're not all over the place. They're not all on top of it, all below it. It's a really good line of fit. If I look at the ski resort attendance, this line is meh. Okay, so it really seems that it's too high of a line. And if we were to redraw this line, okay, I would draw this line coming more down like this, so you have more points on each side of it. So better distribution of points. If we look at the last one here with the math test, you'll notice that there's an outlier out here. Okay, so remember that you ignore an outlier when we're talking about this data. Okay, so other than the outlier, okay, most of the points lie close to the line, so this is a pretty good line of fit. Okay, so now we're going to get to our first success criteria, and that is drawing in your line of fit. Before we can draw in that line of fit, okay, we need to first plot the points. So pause the video, take a minute to plot the points. Okay, now that you've plotted the points, look to see that they look very similar to where mine are. And we're going to first look at it and see, does there seem to be a linear association here? The answer to that would be yes. It does look to be a linear relationship. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw in a line that fits the data. Here's the key here. Use a straight edge. Okay, so you don't have to have a ruler, just anything that has a straight edge to it. If you try to just freehand, you're going to get a crooked line, and that's not going to really help us make a prediction here. So use a straight edge. So as I put my straight edge up here, I'm looking to see, do I have roughly the same number of points on each side of it? Okay, so I can kind of see through my ruler a little bit here, and it looks like I do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw this line in. Okay, now that that line has been drawn in, I'm going to remove my ruler there, and you can see that my line goes through pretty much right through the middle of these points here. So do most of the points lie close to my line? Yes, they do. So because they do, then I know that my model is a good fit. We're going to move past the check on this. I feel like you have a pretty good grasp at this point, hopefully, of you're just drawing a line through the center of that data. Now, here's the kicker. If there's no association to your data, you can't draw a line of best fit. Okay, so let's look at using conjectures now, or making conjectures, making predictions from the line of fit. So your first success criteria was drawing in that line of fit, and your next one is being able to use that line of fit to make predictions, or a conjecture. So if we were to look at this, so the scatter plot shows us the distance traveled and then the cost of an airline ticket. Okay? And it's showing us basically the further we travel, the more expensive the airline ticket is, which makes sense. Okay, so the line of fit is in here, okay, and it's asking us, how can we use this line of fit, okay, to make a conjecture about the cost of an airline ticket if we were to travel 1,300 miles. Okay, so I go over to the 1,300 miles, just right here on my graph, and I'm gonna go up until I hit the graph. So I'm at this point right here. If I go to the left, I can see, oh, that's $275. Okay, so I've used my line, okay, to roughly tell me that, okay, if I travel 1,300 miles, I'm going to pay roughly $275. Remember, it's not exact. These are just making predictions. It's an estimate. So let's try doing one on our own. So we have a height of a tree, okay, and the diameter of its trunk. Okay, so the line is already drawn in there for you. It's a really good line of fit. You're now just going to use that line. Okay. If the diameter is 8 inches, okay, then what would you expect the height of the tree to be? So if I go here to 8 inches and I go up, up, up until I hit my line. Notice there's no data point there. That's fine. Okay, so I've hit the line, and now I'm going to go and see what that Y value is. That Y value is 24. So I could expect a tree with a trunk that has an 8-inch diameter to be roughly 24 feet tall. So I would like for you now to pause this and go to the check, okay, and see if you can figure out, using this line of fit, how much money a server will earn if they serve 225 tables in a week. So pause, figure this out in your groups, and then come back. Now you might have had some conversation here where your numbers varied a little bit. Okay, remember, it is an estimate. So if I go to 225 and I go up here to my line, it's not exactly in the middle, okay, but it's also not 1,000. Okay, I would say you're close to $1,050. If you have anything from $1,050 to probably $1,100, then you're in the right ballpark and you've made a really good prediction. Now, these could go the opposite direction. Okay, what if I ask you, if a server made $750, how many tables did they work? Okay, so this time you're starting off with the 750, hitting your line, which I just went a little bit too far, and then coming down. So I'm between 125 and 150, so maybe 135 to 140 tables. Okay, so you don't always have to be looking at the X value first. Okay, you may be given the Y variable, okay, the Y value, and have to make a prediction based upon that. You're going to do a little bit of practice with these. Okay, so to review, you can draw a line of fit. You can use that line of fit to make a prediction. Then I also want you to be able to justify why that's a good line of fit. Meaning, are your points close to that line of fit in general? If you have an outlier, you leave that guy out. Okay, so you're gonna do a little bit of practice now. You can always come back to this video if you need to.